All right, let's move on to the second story. My sister is totally evil.
Oh, we've got updates. So first, OP called the hospital and basically just explained what happened. Then the hospital called back and let me see. They gave OP a link to an online website and asked her to fill out a detailed written complaint, specifically about what my sister had said about the teenage patient. Also, what exactly my sister said about the nurse dose. This is something they didn't know about, right? The hospital said this is something they're taking very seriously, and the teenage patient was apparently fairly recent. The guy on the phone also alluded that the family of the patient also made a complaint. So I guess they're just trying to see if the events that occurred match between what we have to say. Someone is also going around asking people at the hospital what exactly happened with the patient's care, if they saw anything, or if anything was said.
So I want to make something perfectly clear about the story before we get into the third part of it, because the third part is freaking off the rails. I'm just giving you a fair warning. It is off the rails.
I mean,
it's triggering.
Snitching your blood sister out ain't already kind of off the rails?
Nope.
But she had a right to report her about that, giving that teen them drugs. I did the same thing. Same thing.
I'm sorry.
No, not that. Treating your patients badly, that's one thing. That's just an attitude adjustment. No, when you give pain medications to shut her up, no, I'm reporting that, period. I don't care.
Because that's not going to be the only one she did that to. Yeah.
Because exactly. It'd be more people that she does slip something to. And what if they have a bad reaction and they can't trace it? Nope, I'm telling. I would do it with her sitting there. It's like, yep, I'm telling on you now. How about that?
And the funny thing about it is I want everybody to keep something in mind, because I don't want somebody to look at this and go, oh, she ratted out her sister and everything. No, they've already had a report from the family. So
no, it's still not the same thing, Marlon. That's not the same thing.
No.
Now, I would like to believe that I would also do the same thing, but I'd have made an anonymous tip or something, maybe.
Of course,
but
anonymous one. But what
I don't know that how. Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think the investigation of the sister was opened by the OP.
But it might as well have been, though.
No, it was an add-on. Because
No, you're missing what I'm saying. She did not know there was an open investigation. She came forward to make her report. So her making the report stands alone. Everything else is extra. So she made that report on her own recognizance. I'm not saying she was wrong, because medical care is one of the most serious things you could possibly deal with. But that stands alone. That there was already another investigation, okay, it adds on to it, but that's separate.
This hospital is incompetent, period. How many complaints do you have to have against a person? Like, dang.
How many complaints you need to get rid of a cop?
Well, let's go.
You protect your own.
How many complaints have there been made? We're listening to the story, and we're saying that it's awful and everything else. That don't mean people complain. You literally have to put in a complaint. And how many times have this stuff been going on and nobody says anything at all?
They just be glad to get out of there.
It's done. She's terrible. Okay, we ain't got to deal with her no more. The next time we happen, we'll make a request to never, can we please not have this nurse near us the next time and everything else. We still live in a society where people do not like to rock the boat.
But that was my point about the sister. That's my point about the sister, because like I said, I would like to believe I don't know how I would have handled it. I know one thing that would have happened before I made that report to the hospital, though. I would have had enough balls. I would have had enough balls or ovaries, if I was a woman, to go and talk to my sister. Because if you scared to talk to your sister, that's your sister. You so scared of your sister, but you can go report her to her job. Before you did the other one, why didn't you call her to the carpet? You say you wanted to. Apparently, the family's had conversations about her nasty attitude.
She did call her to the carpet. That's why the family is split on it. The family is split.
Yeah, the father taking the sister's side, and the mother and the aunt is taking her side.
Oh, I didn't read it that way. To me, it was just them.
Yeah, the two sisters had already argued.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
how the family was responding was to the reporting, but the two sisters did have it out. She finally said that was not cool, and they just.
Yeah,
and I'm also that's good. So
you don't understand.
But I'm also curious: would she have reported her if she wasn't pregnant? Would it have hit her the same way? I'm curious. Because sometimes your motivation shift when you can see yourself
when you're completely affected.
I think she would have, but her being pregnant just expedited the process.
I don't know.
And plus, she wanted to get back her sister. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm on the fence on that. That's a good point. Would she have reported if she wasn't pregnant?
But that still should have, assuming this story is true. That's.
Oh, jeebus.
I'm just saying. I know this is not real or not, but.
This sounds really real to me. I've had nurses do a whole bunch of crazy crap.
I done had some doctors who done some.
Yeah, that's what I've had.
You have some doctors now, especially when they're getting into the retirement age, where your health care is solely on you, pretty much. Why did you do?
You got to be your own advocate, but I'm not the one that went to medical school.
Yeah, like I went to medical school.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna take my own blood sample. Let me take it. Put it in. Oh no, give me that.
How many times?
Just like I'm supposed to go in.
How many stories
have we heard? I'm supposed to go ask my doctor for my medication.
Yeah, how many stories have we heard where ain't nothing wrong with you? And I know me and Foxy always make that joke where we always like, "Hey, you okay? Hey, you okay?" That's a funny joke between me and Foxy when we kid with each other and everything else. You all right? You okay? Blah blah blah. That ain't no joke when you talking about your health. That's not a joke anymore. But we've had
something different coming from the doctor, don't it?
Yeah, it's so many
because they were like, "Oh boy, did I have a health situation like that?" And it's terrible. You never want to try, and then you find that one doctor that finally listens to you. It's like somebody listen to me. Somebody's listening to me.
And that breaks my heart, and that's what upsets me.
Joy.
Yeah, that's what upsets me because, like Anna shared that with her story, I've watched it in my family, where you could go to the doctor every time, report what your symptoms are, and all that, but it still will come down to on the day you were talking to that doctor, did that doctor have personal connection with something, even beyond you, but something clicked, and they were like, "Let's try this." Right? Because like a lot of times you hear that with people who deal with like fibromyalgia, right? Where your nerves fire off and stuff like that. It triggers so many false things. But if it comes down to you having that, you could talk to 6 different specialists, and it'll be the 6th specialist that finally says, "Let's try this." Right.
Yep.
And that's not a knock on the doctors, but it's a knock on the system. So,
yeah, because they're trying to see like 25 other patients, and they only got so much time with you because our healthcare system stinks. But hey, that's a whole different discussion. But it took me 8 doctors to get diagnosed. 8. It should not have taken but 1, but it took 8.
And yes, I will shed tears. This is a touchy subject, of course. I have seen over 6D in my search for a diagnosis. But I'm with Tracy. You shouldn't have to be searching more than 2 or 3.
Yeah, maybe 2. Maybe 2 because the first one, that's an intern, so okay. But dang, how many times you gonna be? Actually, it was an intern that actually diagnosed me with it. I was like, oh, thank you.
And I don't
and medicine is an art and a science.
Yes,
so
it sure is.
The human body isn't like a robot. So, and that's the beautiful thing that's complicated about our bodies, right?
No two people
It's
are the
funny. I just
same.
said human body's not a robot, but at the same time, it kind of is, in that the human body will try to repair itself.
Right.
And if something isn't working quite right, it'll reach over here, take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there. So your real issue is your kidney, but because your body's trying to adjust, you're checking the liver, you all out here when the real problem is at your kidneys, but that's because your body is trying to make a way to stay functional. So it's like that's why I'm saying I was like I can't really get at the doctors per se, but it's far too common that you have to be lucky enough to get the right specialist on the right day to
You
get
basically
something.
have to become, like you said, your own advocate. You have to make so much noise. You have to tell them, I'm not going to stop. I won't stop until you tell me what's wrong with me. I know there's something wrong with me. I'm not experimenting. No, just keep going back and keep coming back. And it's sad that you have to do it, but you have to essentially be your own advocate.
But I guess to me, it depends on, because I'm getting back to the nurse situation. It depends on me if a doctor is more apathetic to Tracy and we ran so many tests. I can't find what the situation is. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong. I just don't understand
I
what
wish
it
one would have
is.
said that instead of
But
nothing's
we
wrong with
have
you.
so many
Nothing.
people like this nurse who sit there and just saying it's your fault
Yeah, it's your
of
fault for
what
being pregnant.
everything that you're going through is on you. So thank you for paying me to tell me that you need to fix whatever problem it is that you put yourself into.
Yeah,
It's the
don't.
Now,
attitude of it.
sometimes there's a case for that, Marlon.
It is.
These
It
women were
it is.
pregnant. There's no case.
But I
There's
mean, not in
no.
this case.
Not
Whoa,
I'm
this
whoa,
talking
whoa.
case.
No,
about this
Tracy, there
group.
could be a case. Tracy, there could be a case.
Oh no,
You
no.
still need to treat these people with loving
There are
care
plenty of
and help
cases
them.
of
You know what I'm saying? You still need to treat somebody with loving care because that's your job. And you need to help them through this moment because that's your job. They're at the hospital. You're at the last stop here, right?
Yeah, that's the last
So,
stop.
I, right?
Where is they gonna go?
But if the reason you about to have a premature child is because you still refuse to stop smoking after we done told you to stop smoking, yeah, I'm gonna bring that up again, okay? Because I need you to let this click, and we still gonna take care of
But
you. We're gonna do everything to
no,
save
no.
your baby, and
but
we're gonna do
you're
everything to
I'm gonna
save
assuming
tell you.
you.
that
I'm gonna
that's
give you a
why.
prime example. I'm gonna give you a prime
Well,
example
this
of
I'm
it.
assuming in this 1 second,
I'm gonna
Marlon.
give you.
I'm assuming that only in the example I just made, but in this case, the nurse would know because she has the chart.
If
But
you had
I'm
taken
sorry. Go
care
ahead,
of her.
Marlon.
But I'll give you a prime example of you need to take responsibility. You have a liver transplant coming up. One of the recommendations, one of the requirements, not even a recommendation, one of the requirements is you can no longer drink
Alcohol sure can't.
any alcohol whatsoever until you do it. I have had stories of people who just could not do that. They had to drink. The doctors found out that you drunk, and
And
you were taken off the list.
taken off
Yes,
because they have
you're not
such.
gonna ruin another one.
Yeah, you're
No,
not gonna. Yeah, you might as well. What are we giving it to you for?
Why should they trust you at that point?
right.
Obviously, if you can't stop drinking, you have a substance abuse issue. But I mean, that's just mean you got deeper issues. If they tell you don't drink, I mean that'd be easy for me. I don't drink alcohol, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you
yeah,
just
because I'm
have
like,
to
no,
do something, you got some issues.
you do, and it's like you still going back to what Anna was hitting on. You still need to be compassionate to that
Absolutely.
person's
Even in that
medical
situation.
issue,
Like we're not
but
getting
we're not gonna pretend
that the issue
like
doesn't
what's going
exist.
on ain't happened.
Right.
Oh, I
So
agree with that.
you are addicted
Absolutely.
to alcohol. We told you what you needed to do in order to qualify for this transplant. The transplant is now here. You did not do what you needed to do for whatever reasons, whatever your addiction or dependency is, you didn't do it. So we got to move you to the back of the list because somebody else who is following the rules can be saved too. But we still need to work with you. Do you want to get clean? And you know, it's like, but our medical system is all topsy turvy, and we'll just be like, you're off the list because it's a machine, right? We got to move. We got to move. We got to move. You know, you didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. All right, you're off the list. You're in the back of the list. We got to move on.
Yeah,
and no one helps you.
We are not people. We are numbers.
They're not going to completely take you off the list. They will put you in the back of the list. You're
but they
darn
still
near at
need
the
to,
bottom.
like they said, work with them and say, hey, I can point you to AA. I can help you in a support group. I'm here for
They
you.
should. But our system isn't set
But
up
we
for the
don't. Yeah, our
compassionate care
system
side.
isn't set up for that.